Hello, good morning. I'm Dilip Thakore, editor of EducationWorld.
Hi, good morning. I'm Summiya Yasmeen, managing editor.
Well, for the first issue of 2024, we have a not so optimistic story, not good news. Our cover story is India opts out of PISA, that's the Program for International Student Assessment 2022. This is a test in maths, science and reading.
Conducted by OECD.
Yes, for 15-year-olds. That is children who would be going into class 10, right?
Yes.
Yes, and it's an international program in which this year, in 2022, children, 15-year-olds from 82 countries participated and wrote the reading test.
Yes.
But India, unfortunately, was not one of those.
Yes, India opted out at the last minute. When we talk about the cover story, we'll tell you in detail, what were the reasons behind it, what we think were the reasons behind it. But before that, Dilip, let's take our viewers through what we've got in store for
them
the other sections.
In this first issue of 2024.
Yeah, we've got two very interesting editorials. One is on why the BJP swept the assembly elections, which recently concluded in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh.
Yes, everyone's given their opinion, so we put in our 2 bits worth also.
And Chhattisgarh.
Yes. And
our second edit is on how local governments can save India's cities.
Yes, well, as you know, there's so much traffic and chaos in India's cities. So in our opinion, there is something buried in the Constitution. That's the 73rd and the 94th Amendment, which can, which have the potential to save India's cities. So it's worth reading.
Yeah, and of course our education news section brings you news from the major states, including Delhi, where we talk about the promising Parak initiative, from Maharashtra, where we talk about how entry age into preschool has been finally changed. Now it's going to be 3 years. You have to be 3 years to get admission into nursery school, and this brings Maharashtra in line with the NEP 2020.
Yeah, but the question is what happens to people who joined at a very young age. Anyway, then bad news, bad days for Jadavpur University, West Bengal's showpiece university, and well, they've been having a sea of troubles.
Yes, and in Karnataka we talk about the toilets cleaning row.
Yes.
The students of government school, have been forced, as it were, to clean toilets. But we've taken a very different perspective.
Yes.
We say that what's wrong in children,
such a scandal.
keeping their campuses clean, like they do in Japan.
Yeah, and Gandhiji used to clean his own toilets, and so did people in Sabarmati ashrams. So,
West Bengal also, we've got a news, like Dilip said, on Jadavpur University. Tamil Nadu, we talk about Anna University and some troubles happening there with its affiliated colleges.
Stagnant enrollments in affiliated colleges, yes. Interesting expert comment this time, written by Mumbai-based public intellectual Sudhindra Kulkarni, just back from a tour of China, a lecture tour of China, where he poses a very important question. Why China's universities are world class, whereas ours are not?
Yes.
So, he gives his opinion, I think it's a very intelligent opinion, as to why this big gap between their universities and ours. And let's remind our readers always that China is our neighbor.
Yes.
It's a neighboring country.
No, it's very interesting insight he's given in this expert comment.
Indeed, yes. Now we come to our cover story.
Yes, India opts out of PISA 2022.
Prudence or cowardice? So we examine this, and we think there is a history to this, because in the year 2009, when PISA was held, we sent a batch of 15-year-olds from India to write the reading, maths and science test, and they came number 73.
Just about Kyrgyzstan.
Yes, out of 74. The only country where our 15-year-olds were better was Kyrgyzstan.
Yes.
So we argue here that, in a globalized world where everybody's
just to complete that history, Dilip, at that time the UP government was in power, and when these results came out, obviously they created a lot of havoc in the media, and at that time the UP government withdrew from the PISA test. They said, we're not going to send our students for the next one.
Which is
so we
2012.
skipped 2012, we skipped 2015.
So you skipped 2018.
Yeah. And then in 2019, the BJP government, and Prakash Javadekar at that time was the Union Education Minister, he said that, now India is ready to send its 15-year-olds to write the PISA test.
Yes. And the next one was scheduled to be held in 2021.
Yes.
And because of the COVID, it was cancelled. So they held it in the year 2022.
Yes.
So in December, one of the assistant ministers of state in the Union Education Ministry said, oh no, we can't come. Our children
because of
are
the
not
pandemic.
ready because of the COVID pandemic. But 81 countries also suffered the COVID pandemic, and they sent their children. So the question is, why didn't we send our children? Was it prudence because we knew they're going to come 73 again, or was it cowardice?
Especially with the general elections just looming ahead of us.
Yes, next year. So it might not have be made such good political sense to send our children for that test in case they fail miserably as they did last time. So
anyway, we argue, I think we made a very good case in our cover story that India should send its 15-year-olds because it's important in this globalized world for Indian students to not compete only nationally but to compete internationally and to know how good or bad we are.
Yes, just like we send our cricket teams, hockey teams, athletic stars all to compete internationally. So why not send them to compete internationally in academics?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, it's quite a good story. It's quite, even if we say so, it's interesting.
And now we move on to our international news section, where this month we've got a very special column, Dilip, all the way from the United States, Letter from America, written by Dr. Larry Ahn, who's a very erudite president of Hillsdale's College, Michigan.
Yes, and he's also an expert on Churchill, and he's written some vast number of volumes on Winston Churchill and his life and autobiography. So we are going to, this column is being introduced. Henceforth, he'll be writing for us every month.
Yes. And of course, in our international news, we've got some very interesting stories from countries around the world, including the United States, Australia, SAARC, etc.
Which we never get in the mainstream media. One would think that India is the only country in the world. But anyway, these are, we write about what's happening in the education sphere in other countries. And it's quite it's eye-opener. Right?
Yeah. And in our teacher to teacher section, we have Shivam Datta write about the now ubiquitous ChatGPT and how it can reshape children's learning.
He's a young edtech entrepreneur.
Yeah. And our special report is again, international in the sense that we talk about the the UGC issuing regulations to allow foreign universities to set up campuses in India. It notified its regulations in November, but we find this invitation to foreign universities what we call half-hearted, invitation to foreign universities, because many of these regulations are very discretionary and onerous. They put the onus on for foreign university to meet these maze of regulations.
Yes.
And we think that these regulations are not going to enthuse the world's top universities to come to India to set up their own campuses.
Yes, indeed, yes. And by the way, here also there's been a lot of dithering on the issue, because the issue was first mooted
way back in 2006
by
the National Knowledge Commission.
Yes, and they've been saying, yes, we should allow them, no, we shouldn't allow them. Meanwhile, China and a lot of other countries have allowed them long ago to set up campuses. Yeah. Now the first one has been set up as we speak today. In Deakin University established a campus in
Gift City, Gujarat.
Gift City, Gujarat, yes. and for which our correspondent is now present there today.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a very interesting story, diverse viewpoints. Please read it and give us your comment. We'd love to hear what you think about it.
Yes.
Interesting and insightful interview with Mr. Nitish Jain, who's the founder of the SP Jain School of Global Management.
Yes.
And he talks about,
Yeah, they have campuses in 5 different countries, which is unique for an Indian business school.
Yeah.
So he says, since business has gone global, B school should go global, and that's what he's done. Yeah, they have a campus in Dubai, Sydney, Singapore,
Mumbai,
and London now.
Yes.
And so, congratulations to him. Yes, indeed, very enterprising.
Book reviews again, two very excellent books. The first one is Arun Shoury's autobiography.
Arun Shoury for us journalists, a legend. He's the man who turned Indian journalism on its head when he arrived here during the emergency and took on Mrs. Gandhi and others, and together with Ramnath Goenka and
Indian Express.
Yes, the Indian Express, and tumultuous years in the Indian Express, and how he recounts how he took on Rajiv Gandhi, Mrs. Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, under trial prisoners, Bhagalpur blindings. It's quite a very interesting book. We've reviewed it best we can.
Yes. And our second book is on quite an interesting book on history, Dilip, on India's civilizational history. It's called A New History of India from its Origins to the 21st Century.
Yeah, done by Prudence and former Vice Chancellor of
Ashoka University, former Chancellor.
Chancellor, yes.
Yeah.
And our postscript page we've written on politics this time. It's quite politics heavy. And we've written on KCR, that's K.C. Ramachandra Rao.
His defeat in the Telangana elections, and we have linked it to dynasty politics. He imposed upon the state his son, daughter, nephew, and sundry other relations.
Some people never learn. And then we've also taken on Mr. Nitish Kumar in Bihar, who's now hardly has a so-called India Alliance, INDIA Alliance started, and he started throwing spanners in the works.
Yeah.
And then we've also taken on the government for suspending those MPs from Parliament. 143 MPs were suspended for unruly conduct, which we should remind the government that when they were in opposition, they used to indulge in it quite often.
Behavior.
And in the meanwhile, 146 MPs have been suspended. They've passed some important legislation. This is not,
which has gone completely undebated and unquestioned.
Yes, which means a lot of litigation will arise out of it because undebated. Yes. Anyway, that's all we have this for our first issue of 2024.
Yes, like we said, it's some very interesting stories, some controversial stories. Read them, give us your feedback. But before we go, as usual, what we've done in ParentsWorld this time. ParentsWorld story is very, again, on a very timely and topical issue. Raising children to practice sustainable living.
Yes, in the backdrop of
the COP28 and climate summit, and the world facing looming, impending environmental disasters. 2023 was the hottest year in like 100,000 years. So
yes, indeed.
So there are many environment disasters looming. Delhi pollution,
and it's not enough for politicians to keep talking about it. What we've said is, let's do our bit at the household level.
Yes.
Every household level needs to start practicing sustainable living.
Yeah, and we've given some very simple, easy activities which parents can do to motivate children to adopt more sustainable lifestyle.
Indeed. So maybe some hope there. Okay, well, that's all from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we wish you a happy, healthy and prosperous 2024.
Yes, in light of this impending climate disaster.